Hello and welcome. We are back with Arushan and joining us from India. We are going to be talking about numerology and also this mind-blowing prediction that Arushan has found and discovered for a specific year, what we feel is going to be coming up, how to work with this particular prediction. I'm sure if you have been following other astrologers or empaths or people who are predicting certain timelines for our future, I'm sure you're probably already hearing some of these topics because these are, I find that when a certain group of people talk about one thing or it starts to come around, there's something coming and there's something to be aware of. But we're going to give an exact date. Arushan's dialed it in, and we're going to get specific as possible with it. So we will be talking about that later. But first, we're going to be talking about numerology and the different types of numerology studies. So you may hear of different ways to calculate your chart, for example, the names, for example. So let's talk about the different styles and how people watching can do their own calculations and what could work for them the most.
Hi Tara, and welcome audience again on Tara's channel. We will be talking about the type of numerology systems around the world we follow. And to start with, I will say that the most practiced numerology system is the Pythagorean, which is being practiced in the West, means in Europe and all over the USA. So this is the most commonly used system, but I believe that any system, you take any numerology system, whether Sheldon system, Hebrew Kabbalah system, no numerology system is 100% perfect that can able to give 100% of our answers. That is why there is a limitation, I would say, of every numerological system. That is why we have to take some of the best points out of that numerology system. We have to implement it, and then we go to the other numerology system. What all other positive factors that can we take? For example, if we talk about Pythagoras, so Pythagoras numerology system, as for me, it is very good in predicting the future. Means if you talk about personal years, apart from the personal year, there are specific time cycles, there are personal months, personal days, and if you say the yearly essence numbers, there are other specific numbers in which you can able to decode these future predictions. And also in Pythagorean, there are karmic numbers. The beauty of Pythagorean is you can able to decode karmic numbers. So these karmic numbers are the karmic debts of your previous life that no other numerology system is able to decode and tell us about that. So that is the beauty of this numerology system. And also, obviously, the beautiful master numbers, because Pythagorean able to tell us the master numbers. And if we talk about the Sheldon system, and let's talk about first the limitation of Pythagorean, that the accuracy of the name. I have found, as per my research, no other offenses to the practicing numerologists over there who are practicing Pythagorean. So as per me, the correction of the name and the prediction which you do by the name, I have found that Sheldon is more accurate. If you take the alphabets in Sheldon, that most of the people here do not know how they are given the specific alphabet to a particular letter. For example, the number 1 denotes A, I, J, Q, Y. So let me tell you, a scientist in the 1930s did one experiment on the sound vibrations. And when they did the sound vibrations, the frequency of number 1 was resonating with the letters A, I, J, Q, Y. And number 2, frequency was matching, resonating with the letter B, K, and R. So specifically and so on, these alphabets were given the specific numbers in which the frequency was resonating. And as I've said, that number 9 is the most powerful number in the complete numerology system. And when you give a total from all the numbers from 1 to 9, it adds to 45. Again, the 9 is coming. So 9 is the producer of all the numbers. 9 is the number of creation, preservation, and destruction as well. And also, you say 369 is a family of numbers. So if you give a total of 3 plus 6 plus 9, it again comes to the figure 9. Even if you eliminate 3, 6, and 9 from the numbers 1 to 9, 1 plus 2 adds to 3, you eliminate 3. 4 plus 5 adds to 9. And then you eliminate 9. 8 plus 7 again adds to 15, which further reduces to 6. So you can't eliminate number 9 and 369 from all these things. So number 9 is considered to be as the most powerful number. And as per Indian mythology, number 9 is considered to be as the door of the salvation. Means if you do something 9 times, it is considered to be as auspicious, as the most auspicious. The door of salvation is like the moksha. The moksha, if you go and Google it, the meaning of moksha that you have to take rebirth after death, and you take certain cycles of rebirth and death to achieve the door of salvation. Door of salvation is nothing, it's just the door of God. You stay in the heaven and you don't have to take rebirth in life. So number 9 is like you can say most powerful number, and that is the reason no alphabet in Sheldon numerology is able to define the power of 9. And also the second reason is that when you add something to 9, it repeats on the same number. 9 plus 4, again, you add it and the result would be same, 4. 9 plus 5, again, you add it, the result would be the same. But if you see, as per Sheldon, the accuracy of the name correction works wonders in the name numerology. It means I have to predict only by name. I calculated with the Sheldon numerology system, and I can able to decode the characteristics of that particular person, the food eating habits. I can able to decode the emotional quotient, the IQ of that particular person, and yes, what this people think. How is the means able to think about a particular problem, and how the person will be perceived in the eyes of others. Most of the people around the world, they say that I am from inner, I'm like a leader, but I'm perceived as a very gentle person. No person is able to take my command because you are perceived like that. So these alphabets carry some diseases as well. I can able to decode the diseases, your health. Also, I can able to decode the characteristics of your spouse from your name. I can able to decode in which age a positive or negative event can trigger. So I can say that Sheldon is the most accurate system when you come into the name. And these are the most two systems which are followed worldwide. Obviously, some people also follow Kabbalah system. And apart from this, I have evolved another numerology system, which I call as a scientific numerology system. Because most of the people say, because that is the limitation of a particular numerology system, that you have to take help of the other things. So what I did, I went to the NASA's website. So NASA is a space agency based in US, everybody knows that. So you go to the NASA website, and NASA has done intensively research about a particular planet. So you go there and download the respective PDF of the planet. And when you start reading the PDF of the planet, you will be amazed. So we know that every number is connected to a planet. Number 1 denotes sun, number 2 denotes moon, and number 8 denotes Saturn. So if you take, for example, number 6 denotes Venus. So as per NASA says that the surface of Venus means Venus resurface itself after particular million of years. Means after intervals of particular years, Venus resurface itself. Means a new surface come over the planet Venus. So similarly, if you observe the person with the birth number 6, means who are the person born on 6, 15, and 24, they are relatively more young. They will look more younger than their age. Means if the person is in the 40s, means they will be relatively look younger that they are in 30s. You can take any examples. I don't know the exact date of birth of the Hollywood celebrities, but all the celebrities in India, in the Bollywood, as well as I have observed in the sports person over here, and also if you observe around you, in your relatives, in your friends, you will find it 90% correct. Yes, they look younger than their age. Similarly, if you observe, NASA says that Jupiter is the most giant and biggest planet in the solar system. I'm not saying it. NASA is saying it. Similarly, the person governed with the birth number 3, the person who is born on 3, 12, 21, and 30 of any month, they will be looking more matured than their age, number one. Number two, they will shoulder responsibility over their shoulders at an early age. Means the circumstances would be there such like that, they will shoulder responsibility like that. And the number 3 person would also talk like a matured personality as comparatively to the age of a similar person. Means if I have a childhood friend of the same age, I'll talk more mature as comparatively to him. So they get maturity at an early age. Number 6. So how amazing is it? You go about any planet, you read about Uranus, you read about Neptune, you read about Sun. So similarly, let's take one more example. Let's talk about number 1. Number 1 denotes Sun. Sun is the hottest planet, as we know. And when you poke a number 1 person, means you have invited something very bad. There means short-tempered personality, I can say. Sorry, no offenses to all number 1 people. And also, another thing about number 1, they are more active during the day. Means if you are hiring a number 1 person, make sure that you don't work in the night shifts. If you work in the night shift, your efficiency will be 50% and you won't be able to meet your 100% potential. I can bet that first. So they are more active during the daytime. Obviously, everybody's energy is drained off by the evening, but particularly with number 1, if they wake up during the sunrise, then they touch the sky. If they keep on sleeping, it means they are not an early riser, you will see that they will not be able to meet their 100% potential. So you have to adapt the virtues of that particular number, the particular planet, in able to achieve success. So that is my mantra of doing numerology. I keep it as simple that a kid can also go and read all these traits, and you found it interesting and you found it 90% correct when you go and read these stuff.
And where do all of these practices originate from? So you have the Kabbalah, you have the Sheldon, you have the Pythagorean. Where do they all originate from?
So Pythagorean was origination from the mathematician called as Pythagoras.
In Greece,
So
yeah. So
how
it's more.
he was a mathematician, but yes, there is evolution of Pythagoras as well. And from Mesopotamia, from Egypt, the Sheldon numerology evolved. And it has been said that the old scriptures of Sheldon numerology were burnt and they are not present till date, and they were rewritten many a times. So there is a conflicting theory about them that, okay, no other means the Sheldon numerology is not authentic, and people make things about that. They talk about that is not accurate. But as per me, that experiment played a major role when we did that experiment in the 1930s about that sound experiment, which I was talking about. And also the Sheldon numerology is more accurate about the destiny compound numbers when you give a total of your date of birth. Because in Pythagorean, there is a life path. You derive on a life path, but in Sheldon there is no life path. There is a destiny compound. You just put a plus sign in between your date of birth, you get a compound number, and there is a meaning of that compound. There would be series of incidents will be occurring in your life in that particular compound number.
Right, and you focus more on the date of birth, the day of birth. I notice that's the Sheldon.
I would consider destiny number or the life path number more important than the birth number.
Okay.
Because till the age of 36, the birth number is more important. Let's talk about the birth number and the destiny number. The birth number on which your birthday comes. Suppose if you're born on a 3 of any month or 12 of any month, so you are a birth number 3. So the birth number defines your characteristics, your traits, how you will be as a person. And the total of your date of birth defines your profession, career, marital life. So it is more important than your birth number. So till the age of 36, birth number has 100% power, is in the power. From 36 to 42, we call it as a transition phase. Means the birth number power keeps on decreasing and the destiny number power keeps on increasing. So by the age of 46, destiny number comes 90% into the power, and the birth number power just only 10%, you can say. So that is, you call it midlife crisis when you are at the age of 40.
Mm.
So that is why when you see, I was in the college and I was very youthful and I was like, and suddenly after 10 years, your all habits get changed because there's a shift of planets.
Mhm.
There are shift of numbers from birth number to destiny number. So that is why I say that destiny number is 50% contributes 50% to your success. So all the people around there, you have to know that what is your destiny number, and you have to work on that. You have to behave in the similar way. You have to adapt the virtues of that particular.
What is the destiny number in? Is that on the Sheldon calculation side, or is that on the Pythagorean calculation side? So I'm used to life path, expression, soul urge are probably the top three. Is that destiny would be expression or soul urge maybe?
I can, it would be very convenient if you give me the access of the whiteboard so that the audience can able to understand what is the difference between life path and what is the difference between the destiny compound and the destiny number. So let me show you my screen.
Okay. Yeah, just 1 second here.
So let's take a hypothetical date of birth. Let's say 2nd of September 1983. If somebody is born on that date, what you do in Pythagorean, actually, you reduce this day to, you reduce this month, and you give a total to this year number. Means 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 3, it comes at 21, and you further reduce it to 3, right? So this comes at 3. Now you give a total to this. 9 plus 2, 11, 11 plus 3, 14. So this is called as the life path. Okay, and if you further reduce it, it comes at 5. This is also called as destiny number.
Oh, so you do, but wouldn't the 5 be the life path number?
Yes, you can say the life path 14 or 5. You can say that.
Okay.
But in actual terms, in Pythagorean, 14 would be called as the life path. I would be rather call it as, if I'm talking the term life path would be 14. But sometimes in the common terms, we also say it, okay, the life path 5. But in actual terms, it would be the 14 life path. Okay, let's come on to the Sheldon system. You just have to give a total of complete. Give a total to this now, 2 plus 9, 11, 12, 21, 29, that comes at 32. Now, this is a very important number. As per Sheldon, this is called a destiny compound number. Destiny compound number, or we can call it as a 5 destiny number, DN. We call it as a DN. But the role of destiny compound number is most important in Sheldon. So I hope now the audience can able to understand what is the difference between destiny compound, life path, and the destiny number.
And so if someone was to say, I am a 14 life path, but it's a 5, it's a 14-5. That's usually what people say, 14-5. What I also learned is that the 1 and the 4, for example, would be acting like your parents in a way. So you have the 1 energy and the 4 energy that gives you the 5. So you also have to pay attention to, you have to pay attention to the traits of the 1 and the 4 and how that influences you and how that gives you your primary 5 number.
Correct. Yeah. Obviously, you will tell the traits of 5, but they are coming from 14. So you will also tell the traits of 1 and 4. That is what is the meaning of 14. So if you say the 14 is a karmic debt.
Yeah, it also is that too.
So that is how you derive on the karmic debt, that in the life path you are carrying a karmic debt.
Yeah, and that is important to know as well.
Yeah, important. Yeah. And similarly, you can able to derive on the master numbers 11 and 22.
So the Sheldon calculation doesn't have master numbers?
No. There are not master numbers, but it is my observation. That is why I have called this as the limitation of the system. If suppose if this date of birth is 1984, this would be 33. So I would consider it as a master number, the master number 33.
Mhm. Okay.
So you will observe the same thing which you have observed in 11, 22, or 33 in the destiny compound. If you get 11 or 22 or 33,
Right.
sometimes you also get 44.
Mhm. Okay, great. And then the Kabbalion numerology, which I don't know anything about at all. Do you study that, or do you know
It is
much about
very
it?
basic, but I have not found it very interesting, and it has some limitations. In very few countries, I would say, they practice it,
Mhm.
and nobody is in India, especially, is practicing that numerology. And also in Western world, only Pythagorean and Chaldean is the most emphasized system. The
Okay.
third one system you can say here in India, we also follow Chinese numerology and the Vedic numerology. That is the Indian numerology system.
Hmm. Okay.
These two systems are also in play, and you can say that in Chinese there is a grid called as Loshu grid. Loshu grid is called as Loshu grid.
And what is this?
This is a type of grid in which you place the numbers of the date of birth, and a certain formation you are able to predict the characteristics of the individual.
Mm. Okay.
So that is called as Loshu grid. And there is also another, you can say, Indian numerology system. There is also one grid, you can say the Indian grid or the Vedic grid, you say it. There's a particular formation, you put it inside the grid and you are able to predict the characteristics of the individual.
Mm. Okay.
Like in Pythagorean, you have certain type of grids you have must have read in a number of books.
Mhm.
So these are just the tools, I would say, um, to predict the characteristics of a particular person. Also, in the Indian numerology, there are lots of remedies about the particular number. So these remedies, basically, these are connected to astrology. And then from astrology, they are being given to a particular number that you should do. Number one should do these type of things in able to means to reach their 100% potential. Like in say, we Indians say that number one denotes father, your father. So if you take blessings of your father, you are able to means justice to your number one, if you are birth number one or a destiny number one. Similarly, number two denotes your mother. If you take blessings of your mother, if you have birth number or destiny number two, then you should take blessings of your mother.
Mhm.
And there are certain types of remedies and rituals you can perform if you are governed with particular number.
Right. So it's similar, it's a bit similar to astrology. So there are different ways to look
Yeah,
at
it is
charts.
connected to somewhat astrology, and then it is being derived with numerology.
Yeah, and some of it does also overlap with the information. I find that there are some correlations between my numerology and my astrology. And also how you mentioned with the planets too, the energy of these planets, the archetype of the planets and the numbers as well, the frequency and characteristics, which is fascinating. So it's all
Yeah,
connected at the end of the
they
day.
will always be resonating. Means
Mhm.
in a particular chart, if you see a particular type of problem, that particular type of problem will definitely be visible into a numerology chart. Means
Mhm.
somewhere they are resonating, 70% they are resonating with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's also important for those watching. It's really important to try and be experimental with what you learn, just as far as being open-minded, because there's so much information. Although I do find that a lot of it does overlap a little bit, but there's a lot of information that is available for us to understand about ourselves, our soul blueprint, our body, our energy, our mind, we can really get into so many specifics with what makes us who we are. At the core level, you are you and you're one in a billion. You're completely unique. So it's important to know some of these aspects but also, yeah, I would say be very open-minded to learn. And same with astrology. There are different types of astrology studies that you can look at. And some people might get confused as to, well, what is mine? What's going to resonate with me? It's all open for interpretation. And the more you can learn and what resonates with you, if you don't feel inclined to study the Sheldon system and you feel more the Pythagorean system resonates more with you, then work with that. It's all open for interpretation but there's also a lot of information that you could learn through going a little bit deeper and maybe exploring some different practices as well. So, all right. Well, I think we should go into our prediction that maybe some people are anxiously waiting for, and it's a really important piece. Unless, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with what we were just discussing before we move into
Have you found a home with a bunker,
a
with a
what?
basement? Have
Oh,
you been able to found a home with a bunker or a home with a basement? If not,
myself.
yeah, you should find it before 2029.
2029 is the year that has been predicted here.
Yeah.
So how did you come, let's talk about how you discovered that decoded the year and what sparked that notion that could be the year where we see some devastation.
So, first of all, we have to rewind and go back to 2020 so that the audience can able to understand what I'm trying to say. In any year, if you give a total to, when it gives a total of 4, because 4, everybody knows it's a mysterious number. It's a number where unpredictable events can happen. And obviously, there are variants of 4. The 4, if it is coming from the master number 22, if the 4 is coming alone, if the 4 is coming from the karmic number 13, and whether the 4 is coming from 31, that is obviously not going to come. So in 2020, when you give a total, it comes at 4. And obviously, as I've said in the previous our telecast, that there are some masculine and feminine numbers in numerology. All the numbers like 1, 3, 7, and 90, these are called as masculine numbers. And the numbers 2, 4, 6, 8 are called as feminine numbers. Number 5 acts as both sides because it comes into the center. It sometimes acts as feminine and sometimes act masculine. Depends upon which number is placed at which location with number 5. So let's talk about that number 2 and 4. But 4 is like a notorious number, we say it, as per the Indian numerology system. It is somewhat unpredictable. And 2 is a very kind of gentle number. So when 2 and 4, they are conflicting numbers with each other. However, they are the family of the numbers. 1, 2, 4, 7 belongs to a family of numbers. But in a particular family, obviously, there may be some conflicting family members. So they are like that. So 2 and 4 conflicts with each other, and there is no masculine force to control them. Suppose if the 2 kids are fighting with each other, if none of the parent is around, obviously they can do disaster. So similarly like that, in 2020, there was no controlling number in these, and that's why the situation deteriorated. And most of the above, when there is a 0 between the numbers, so that amplifies the power.
Right.
So the power of 4 amplifies to 40. Means if you split the number 2020, you say 2020. So 20 plus 20 comes to 40. So again, the amplifies the power of 4, and it does disaster. 4 means undiagnosed diseases. 4 means new inventions. You will do some inventions. So corona vaccines were invented. The pharma industry were on boom. The IT industry was on boom because everybody was home and working from home. Mm-hmm. So these kind of stuff already happened. Now you go back to 2011. It also added to number 4. But yes, obviously, there was a guiding force, and you can say the leader of all the numbers, that is number 1, which has the controlling power. And also 11 adds to the master number. That is again a divine force between after 2011. So we have seen some protests around the world in 2011. I even remember in India, there was a massive protest against the government in 2011. The people were on roads and they were protesting against the government. So 2011 was like that. 2020 was also like that. You have seen protests around the world, whether in US, in India, we have also seen that, the farmers' agitation. Uh, Now coming on to the 2029. Now in 2029, the thing is, if you give a total to 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 9, the destiny compound comes at 13, which is again a karmic debt. So again, you have to pay off the karmic debts.
And let's talk about what the 13 means as well. What does the 13
13 means is a jinx number. Means 13 means you will not be able to hoard the money. The money will be shed off from the markets. So the share market would fall, definitely, all around the world. Also, as per Sheldon, number 13, you can say the dark energies, the black forces, the evil eye forces. So it is a number of that. Number 4 also indicates the fumes in the sky. Fumes. It means like you would be seeing, means something else is happening over there, but you are not able to see what is going on. It's like you can say like the backstabbing or something like that. So the 13 is meant for that. So the fumes in the sky means there would be, the weapons will be used for the mass destruction. Also, when you see all the other numbers in the year, 2294 means you derive all these numbers in 2029, 2 and 9 and 4. It gives a total and gives the number 4. All these three numbers are conflicting with each other as per Indian numerology system. They are not at all friendly with each other. 2 and 4, I have already told you, they are conflicting numbers. 9 also an enemy number to 4, or also enemy number to 2. So again, that is a red flag. That is a red flag, means some fight would happen. Also, the major thing, the 29, 2029, the last 29. The 29, the definition of 29 in the Sheldon numerology system, it is also a number which attracts the evil eye, which attracts the, you can say, the destruction, mass destruction. Also, the 29 is, you can say that some compound numbers are positive, some compound numbers are negative when you have a number on. So 29 is considered to be not a positive compound number in Sheldon numerology. So 29 again a red flag. Another red flag is number 9 over there. Because when you see a number 9 with any number, it elevates the power of that number. Because 9, you go to again to the NASA website, they say 9 is a red planet, means Mars is a red planet.
Oh, okay.
Mars is fiery planet.
Yeah.
Means the fire. Means it will multiply the force of 4.
But I would also even wonder if 9 would be a little bit of death and rebirth with that number. So if it was a 4, because 9 signals the death and rebirth or endings. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that as well tied into it.
You got it right.
Yeah.
Because so that the destruction can happen, so that the creation can happen again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, another factor, we would be ending a decade, because we will be reaching the peak of a particular decade. That is the 2029. After that, the masculine number, that is the spiritual number 3 would come into power, 2030. And before that, the mass destruction would definitely occur. And 9 also denotes war. 4 denotes fumes in the sky. Definitely some kind of biological weapon and some kind of diseases, and particularly the nuclear weapon would be used. And in order to save yourself from a nuclear weapon, as far as my knowledge, the radioactive waves would be there around the sky, and you need a particular concealed environment so that the nuclear radioactive waves can't enter that environment, and that is probably below the earth. Why below the earth? There is also another mythological meaning of that. Number 4 means it's a lord It's a particular lord that resides under earth. That is called as Rahu in Hindi, as per Indian mythology. So that resides below the earth. So that definitely people would be finding the homes which would be having a bunker built, a basement would be there, so that they can save themselves from the nuclear radiation. And particularly, if I predict the countries would be participating, definitely China would be at the back end. That would initiate again the war, because as per Sheldon numerology, again, China adds to 15, and 15 and 4 are not associated well with each other, means they are enemy to each other, because China will be the one who will initiate the war. And the second country, I'm not able to decode yet, but soon I'll decode who will be the second country. But yes, China will be most affected country in this nuclear explosion, and would be at the back end.
Probably the top three, China, US, and maybe Russia. But I mean, I would imagine it would be something along those lines of the definitely China, US, I would think. But we also have in astrology Pluto that has been in and out of Aquarius a little bit here between, I think it's going retrograde, but it's going to be, it's a very slow moving planet. So it dipped into Aquarius recently, and then it's going to go retrograde in May. Then it's going back into Capricorn and then forward into Aquarius. And I can't remember all the dates, but Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. And death, destruction, rebirth. That's a cycle, and that's a cycle that we go through within ourselves. That's the cycle of humanity. That's just the universal law and nature of these cycles. So the highlight of Pluto being in an Aquarius, the last time it was in Aquarius was, I think it was 70, what was that? 1777, I think it was. I think it was something like, it was a very interesting number. That's why I was remembering. But at that time, there were a lot of revolts, a lot of war, conflict. Not that every situation that we're in is a bit different, so it's going to play out differently in this time frame. But we have innovation, which is highlighted with Aquarius. Aquarius is a very innovative, a very progressive energy, right? So we have a lot of talk now about AI, about technology, about a lot of warnings around that too. And plus human rights with Aquarius as well, which could create a bit of a revolt of some kind. So it's quite interesting that these are all lining up at that perfect time. So it's kind of like a little bit of that perfect storm, if you will. Now, the key though is to not fear, because I feel that a lot of us, especially those in the spiritual community, or at least people who are truth seekers, are being aware of these types of events or what could be possible in our future and what to prepare for, maybe even just from a personal standpoint, right? Rather than listening specifically to news, but trusting your own guidance or watching things like this will provide more information and how to handle it with ease, because I don't feel every place on the planet is going to be affected by this, but we'll all feel it in some kind of way. It will affect us in some kind of way. If it's from a financial standpoint, if it's from a technology standpoint, if it is, in fact, what happens? Is it a war, or is it artificial intelligence somehow gets in there and sees humanity as a threat and takes over? We don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know exactly where it's going to play out. That's the point of also these predictions. It's not to give the specifics. We have to just be aware and prepared for these things, but not be in fear. Just try to find the best way possible to prepare of maybe the worst case scenario, and how we can also work to form the new cycle, and work towards, what does that new cycle look like? What does that new future look like? How can we all be part of that to create something better? And that's really what this is offering us. It's offering us this time to do that. So it's interesting. What do you think about it?
Yeah, obviously there is no need to scare. This is just a prediction, obviously. I would wish that I would be 100% wrong. I would wish that. But what numbers are indicating, I'm telling that so that you can be well prepared in advance to take care of your investments and savings. And I would suggest to square off your positions from any market. If you're investor somewhere in any market around the world, please take an exit at the beginning of 2021, maybe the end of the 2028, so that you can utilize that money once once the situation is normal. So that would be my suggestion. And also, if you can take care of means from the biological suits are there available, would be there if you can arrange something like that. If you can't be able to arrange a house with the bunker, please make some arrangements over there in that particular year. So that would be my suggestion, instead of means to make a scare around the masses. That's not my motive. So also that after 2029, I would see a brighter future for the complete world, because from 2030, you will see definitely a complete ramp over, and definitely I would say India will play a major role in their 2030s. I would say the golden time would be with the rise, and they will soon be in the world top 3 superpowers in the 2030s, I would say. So that's all with me, and to you, Tara, now.
No, that's everything. It gives a lot to think about and to prepare for and to be aware of. And at the end of the day, again, it is for those listening, watching, it is, how do you want the future to be? And how can you be part of that change? That's the big thing. And that's really, I'm sure you watching are aware of these patterns and the energy that is starting to intensify. You cannot ignore it. You know, it's in the news. You can feel it. You know, you can watch videos like this and get the predictions, for example, and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, it's what do you want to do to be part of a better future? And it starts from here. It starts from us individually and being aware and mindful of something better. You know, how we can contribute. If we fall into fear, we're not going to help the progression towards a better future. So that's all I have to say. And well, thank you so much for your wisdom, your information. If you want to contact Arushan, I have all of his contact information. I'll leave below. Instagram, website. Feel free to get in touch with him. We did a session after our last call, and he pinpoints so many things within myself that was actually quite fascinating. So it was really interesting to have a little bit of that intro into your work. So anyway, hit him up, get in touch, but I'm sure we'll be back at some point talking about something interesting in the near future. Thanks again for being here.